think it tends to be a bit of a sleeping dragon, I guess, the root CA in terms of expiration. That's one thing we don't often talk about. But I know you and I were actually just chatting a couple weeks ago because there was a recent expiration of a public CA, and the ad trust root CA, I believe. And that had a pretty serious impact on a lot of services and IoT devices too, Ellen. I know we were talking about this as well. So I know I use Roku for my TV service, and that was impacted. And Chris, I think you maybe even mentioned your Wi-Fi router. So these can be pretty wide ranging. So maybe you can talk about just the impact of root CA expiration and what it means for both of these, really, for an organization or a manufacturer.
Yeah, so I'll take it from the enterprise angle, and Ellen is infinitely more qualified to talk about it from an IoT perspective. From an enterprise angle, I mean, certs need to expire. It's a given. Ellen's already alluded to that in her conversation earlier. Like driver's license expires, like passports expire. You need to revet yourself. You need to show up, and certificates act in a similar concept. In order to vet the identity of the device that they claim to represent. And then that trust is built into the fabric of why PKI works. And in some cases, why PKI doesn't work, to be very frank about it. I mean, it's not a perfect solution for all things. The concept being that the cert expires, you got to revalidate yourself. Well, the root CA is a cert, and therefore it has to expire. The duration of that expiration, it tends to be fairly long. We talk about years, tens of years, rarely any more than 20 or 25 years these days, but there's exceptions to that rule. So when a root CA expires, it essentially forces either reissuance of that root CA or rekeying of that root CA. Those are two possible events. Either way, you're going to have to repropagate the trust of that new crypto key material to the devices that essentially chain up to it. And in order to do that, you need to be able to distribute those new certificates or rekeyed certificates to those devices that are impacted. In the enterprise, there's a number of different ways that can be done depending on what your enterprise looks like. But at the end of the day, if you do not do that and do not do that efficiently and effectively, you will have some form of an outage or an impact. And therefore, it's absolutely critical that you have the ability to do that. And sort of set Ellen up for her answer, if I may be so bold. In the enterprise, we know where our devices are. They live somewhere connected to our wire. We've got management tools and functions to do that. It is not trivial, but it's not. It's time consuming. In IoT, you don't necessarily have the same parameters. So, I'll use that stage, Ellen, to
yeah,
that up. So
that was a good tee up, Chris. But yeah, exactly that. I mean, pick anything that's connected. Pick, like insulin pumps that are made by a manufacturer and then just go out to people all over the world, right? Or to pick vehicles, or pick anything that is intentionally built to be connected to the internet, and then goes off and kind of runs and lives its life. And it can be a major warranty cost to your company if you have to go and physically touch each of these things one at a time, with a secure way to access that code and update the private key on it. It just think about how if you had more of a strategic approach to how you want to create those identities and then update those identities and keep them fresh over the lifetime of them, but also to be able to do it at scale. And that's something that Keyfactor has proven, and we've got some use cases on our website that you guys can check out. But in terms of how quickly we've been able to update roots and update keys in a fleet of vehicles, in order to kind of simulate a breach occurring and the need to swap all of that out. So making sure that you have a process to be able to do that, because again, your devices are going to be going everywhere. They're going to be on untrusted networks. They also might be offline. And having a way to be able to connect to them when they do come online for a check-in, or when you intentionally go out and check them, to be able to update that credential is really important, because this is an operations thing that your company needs to kind of think about how to handle and keep that cost down and keep that warranty risk at a minimum.